I can't believe it's even a debate at this point in time that people would argue that you would put the milk in before the cereal when it comes to preparing a bowl of cereal. What kind of monsters are we allowing out there?
Wait,
Who's saying that's a good idea?
Say that one more time. I want to make sure I get your order correct.
There are people, human beings that breathe the same fucking air as us that think that you pour the milk into the bowl before the cereal.
No.
And those are the insane people?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're on the same page.
Absolutely. They're not, I don't even know if I call them people at this point in time.
I mean, depending on the bowl, you're at great risk of some splash damage.
Right.
Sure.
You don't even
also
you don't
the ratios.
I mean, it's the same with everything. You pour in the solids before you pour in the liquids. Like that's
yes.
If you make yourself a glass of ice water, you put the ice in before you put in the water.
Even when I make my coffee, if I put a little Splenda into it, I'll put that down first. Then I'll add a little bit of the cream
because the coffee dissolves it.
Yeah, and it mixes it up. Now I understand.
You don't even need to stir at that point.
Right, and I know that can go further back in time of like showing a sign of poverty. Other podcast discussion, but
what?
There. So.
Do you just call me poor because I don't drink coffee?
No.
Yes.
Apparently, depending on like your level of like financial comfort, if you were to put milk down before your tea or your coffee, the risk of the china breaking from the drastic change in heat was less, and so it was a situation of doing that. Anyway, you put the cereal down, and then
you pour the milk on top of it.
You pour the milk on top of it.
Because you get a base. You get a nice covering of milk on the rest of the cereal.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then the ratio is right because you know how much cereal you want to eat.
Well, that was my next question. Go ahead, Chase.
Bobby, are you making up this person, or are you just trying to find a way for us to bond by making up some fake evil out there that doesn't actually exist?
Who is this person?
Yeah, show some proof. Who is saying to do this?
Look, I'm kind of embarrassed.
Well,
to say
let's not go that far.
There's been a bunch of fucking talk on TikTok about this.
There's your first mistake.
I'm done with the conversation then.
Fair and right and true, probably true. My question to you would be, how much milk do you put in? That's my final question here.
So I have a very, well, I guess it's not a specific answer because it's not like a measurement exactly, but it is when you start pouring the milk, there's a time where the cereal like just slightly bumps up and then kind of settles. Yeah, as soon as it lifts, you're like, I'm done right there. As soon as you get any lift whatsoever. That's the perfect.
If I'm looking at your bowl pre-milk, 3/4 cereal.
It might be a little higher than that. Like I'll end up like dropping a puff or two, when I'm moving my bowl from the counter to the table.
Okay, Johnny, any final thoughts on cereal preparation?
Like a nice full bowl.
Yeah, you again, depending on how hungry you are.
Sure.
You know, it's maybe half full, maybe 3/4 full.
Then milk.
And then you wait until it starts to elevate slightly. And also, depending on the cereal, it might not elevate at all. You know, like a Raisin Bran Crunch, that's just going to sit there.
Sure.
So
the most
you wait until it's just beneath. It's like those islands you see in the Mississippi River that poke up just a little bit above.
Those are bodies.
The waterline.
Those are bodies.
Bobby, I do have a little life hack here for you.
Sure.
And I mean, you're already familiar with it because I've been to your home. I see that you have a similar system. But my life hack for all you cereal heads out there, and I know you're out there, take a smaller spoon. Bring the small spoon. You don't need the great big spoon.
No.
Take the small spoon. Let yourself enjoy
big
that
spoons
cereal.
For ice cream. Small spoon for cereal.
The big
I always
spoon,
use a big spoon.
See, that's your problem. So Bobby, I noticed you've got the dog bowls that have like the little puzzle box in them, so the dog doesn't feed
I
itself
got
too
fat
fast and then
asses.
throw it
Those
up.
dogs,
Yeah.
I got 2 corgis.
What?
I can't.
They need to
themselves.
work. They need to work for it. They need to enjoy it. They need to savor
Yes.
it. They can't just be
Yes.
slopping it up. Johnny's over here just slopping up the cereal as fast as he can.
Slop it
No,
up, baby.
We're human beings. We enjoy our cereal a normal sized bite at a time.
Small spoon doesn't give you enough on a bite. It's like I'm barely tasting it.
I've never thrown up because I've eaten cereal.
Neither have I.
Well,
With a
that's
small
debatable.
spoon, I'm not even sure what I'm eating. I'm getting that little amount on
Are
the
you
spoon.
the small spoon or the big spoon in other facets of your life?
I mean, that's a good question.
It depends on how much I've been crying that night.
Good answer. Thank you for helping me realize that I picked good friends. I'm Bobby. Chase, say hello.
Hi.
Johnny, say hello. We're the
Howdy.
Casual Hour. We talk about video games.
Neither of us
Ostensibly.
actually said hello. Just want to
A
point that out.
form of
That's-
hello.
Yeah, but he asked for a specific
Hello.
phrase. We didn't give it.
Hello. We're here to talk to you about video games and serial etiquette. Tonight is a What You've Been Playing episode. We've got a big one for you. Lots of news. But before we get into the news, at the top of this episode, we're going to be talking to you about Digimon Story, Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory. We're going to talk about Cardboard Kings. Might even talk a little bit about Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. Maybe some Battletech, definitely some Dune Spice Wars, and all kinds of news, including that new Sonic Origin, maybe some Halo news. I don't know. We'll just see how things are going, but that's going to be in the back half of the episode. We've got a lot of fun for you here. I would love it if you, Chase Kinnicky, the gamer on the go, would tell me a little bit more about Digimon.
Would you love that? That doesn't sound like something you would love.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about it. Verdict's out there, man.
I mean, it's Digimon, so I mean that's I would think. I mean, that's you do Digimon's an anime.
Is it? Well, I know a lot about those.
Okay. I know you're a big anime fan. Anyway, yeah, Digimon Story, Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory, long title, is an RPG. It's it came out on the PlayStation Vita originally, but it has since come to other consoles. I'm playing this on the Switch. There was a previous game, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, and this game it came out after it, but it's not really a sequel. It's actually kind of like a parallel game that takes place in the same story at the same time, just from a different perspective.
Sure.
So I really liked the first Cyber Sleuth on Vita. Had a great time with it. I think it was like my number 10 game of the year that year, in like 2016, 2017.
Was it 16? I thought it was 15.
Might have been 15.
Did you talk? I don't think you talked about it on the show.
I didn't. This was before. I think this was before I was doing this thing.
That was 2015.
Okay. So I had a good time with it. Friend of the show, Jiggy-san Magic Air, will remember I played this a lot during a PAX East, and probably ignored him quite a bit as I was just playing more Cyber Sleuth.
Oh God.
That game is really cool. It's an RPG that is very Persona-like in some sense. It has there's kind of, here's the dungeon part that you run around in and fight your different Digimon, and then here's the part where you're not going to school, but the first one was like a detective agency, but you'd talk to friends and you'd do things around that way, and so it did have that kind of feel that a Persona game kind of had. And it was a fine game. It was a pretty solid RPG. I liked some of the mechanics of the way you captured Digimon. You didn't capture them in Pokeballs like you would with Pokemon. Every time you encountered one, you would get a percentage. You'd get another chunk of percentage, and then once that hit 100%, you could convert that data into a Digimon that would be yours of that exact type. So you could have, hey.
You would be bringing them in, like once you captured them, like they would be coming into your party and then converting them over, or how does that work?
Well, you wouldn't be capturing them exactly. You would let's say I fight 2 Digimon and they're of different types. They're 2 different kinds of Digimon. So I'd get 20% on this one and 20% on that one. So I have to fight just random battles, find those same Digimon a number more times before they get to 100%, and then I can go to the kind of, I guess, the Pokemon Center equivalent, and I could convert that data into a copy of that Digimon that is now mine to then use in a Pokemon style battle. Cool. But you could also wait until they filled up to 200%, and then you'd get a Digimon, the same Digimon, but with better stats. And the stats feed into also how you evolve the Digimon, which I guess they did that in some previous Digimon games. This was really the first Digimon game I ever played. I like Digimon a lot. I watched a lot of the anime and had a pretty good time with it. Pokemon was always better, but I enjoyed Digimon. Anyway, I like the evolving mechanic too, because Digimon could evolve into all sorts of different things. You get like a big list of things that this thing could digivolve into, but it would have requirements for all of those. They had to have this level, and then they had to have these stats, and then they had to have this much friendship, and you gained friendship by having them out with you in battles. Or you'd have to have two of these specific Digimon together, and they'd have to have friendship meters so high so they could do like a fusion thing, because that was something that happened in one of the seasons of Digimon. I just thought it was really interesting, and also you could de-evolve any of your Digimon back to an earlier form to get them to a point where they could get even bigger stats, so they could hit. Like sometimes you'd have to go backwards to go forwards. I couldn't digivolve up to something because I didn't have the stats for it, so I digivolved down to something so the stats piled on even higher, so then I would go back. Yeah, I bet you would. Here's the thing. Yeah, there's going to be you hear the word digi a lot, especially in the dub stuff of Digimon. It's just how they roll. Anyway, I thought that game was good. That was the first Cyber Sleuth. Hacker's Memory, it came out a year or two later, and it's kind of just the same thing in so many different ways. It's literally the same story. You're just being told from a different perspective. There's some new characters, but you run into a lot of the old characters. And it came out at a time where that first game was still so fresh. I was like, this is just the same game. It's got the same mechanics. It's got the same areas. Everything here is the same. I just don't feel like playing this again, even though it's technically a new thing. And so I didn't, and I put it on the shelf, and I never touched it again until I kind of just decided now. Yeah, we talked about it in the April preview. April is/was kind of weak just for new releases. So I thought this would be a good time to go play something. Also, the Gundam podcast I listen to, the next season of Gundam, they're also going to be watching a Digimon show along with that as their backup show. So I kind of was getting into Digimon again, or anticipating Digimon again to watch that show with them. So I'm just kind of in the mood for some digital monsters. Plus, we now know that Digimon Survive, that XCOM/Digimon visual novel-y, I still don't know what the fuck that game is, but it's very exciting to me. That thing has a date now. It's coming out in July.
You've been talking about that game, I feel, for a while.
Years.
Couple of years at least, yeah. But it's got a real date now, and it sounds like they're going to hit it. So excited to. I've just got Digimon in the brain, and I thought this would be a good time to go back to a game with mechanics that I really liked, and see what's there. And yeah, it's still that game. It's still solid. It's a little bit tedious, but these games are built to be a little bit tedious, and I'm still kind of enjoying that grind of getting the Digimon and going, okay, I know these two from this anime, and if I level both of these guys up, they can be the fusion, and that all works because it's all built upon the stuff from the show, but then they also have lore that they've built through video games as well. It's a good time. The complete edition that comes with Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory is available on most things, Steam and Switch and Xbox. Well, maybe not Xbox, PlayStation for sure.
It was $15 on Switch over the weekend.
It's on sale almost all the time, and I'd suggest picking it up if you're looking for a solid RPG or two solid RPGs, honestly. But it's pretty good.
There's not a ton of stuff coming out in the summer that I'm super excited for, except the Mario Strikers game. So I'm thinking about picking up this new Digimon game.
Right? Yeah, I
Brave.
that's
Crazy.
that's
Bold.
that's going to be an interesting one because it's going to
Thank you,
be
Bobby.
it's just going to be a much different thing than we've gotten before. I haven't seen certainly not seen a Digimon game that's like this, and I kind of just want to know more of what's going on there. Seems interesting.
Yeah, I'm happy that you got a release date. I think that is a very important thing because I know that this is a game that you enjoy. You've talked a little bit about it. I mean, I'm being very serious here. Like, I'm genuinely curious, and like, I want to see a quick look of it. I want to know more about it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I do too. The trailers that they've shown are all pretty old at this point. Anything with gameplay in it, so a game might not even look like that. It's been delayed so many times, it might just be garbage. But I want to know what it is because I've been anticipating it for so long, and it's so different from the kinds of games we've gotten in the past. Like I said, Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory are almost Persona style JRPGs, whereas this one is like a visual novel that has XCOM style combat, and I believe also permadeath. Maybe you can turn the permadeath off, but like that.
Okay.
I want to know what that means. How do you make a game like that? I want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. What else you had going on? Anything else you want to chat about?
I mean, the regular stuff. I'm still playing a Super Robot Wars thing every once in a while. That new content's out. That final bit of content is out. So I there's no reason not to finish it at this point. So I just need to keep chipping away at that. We'll get into it at the end of the show. But Johnny and I finished our Nuzlocke for Pokemon Shining Pearl. That was really exciting. We had a really good time with that. So I'm free from that and figuring out what to do next for the channel, and I got a couple of ideas that I'm kind of excited about. But yeah, other than that, I'm still just kind of playing all the normal stuff. I did finish Pokemon Brown, and it was fine. It was fine. But I did kind of get the itch, which is dumb because I'm already playing another monster collecting game right now in Digimon, but there is part of me that's like, oh, maybe I should start another Pokemon ROM hack. That was kind of fun. Maybe I should do another one of those. And I need to tell that part of myself to shut the fuck up so I can play the actual video games that matter at the moment. There will be plenty of time for Pokemon ROM hacks later or when I'm dead.
What better time than the present, though?
Hell yeah.
It's a great point.
Very cool, man. So Chase talked about Digimon Story, Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory, finished up some stuff with Pokemon Brown, usual suspects, Robot Wars are there, and he'll chime in here on my segment because there's some that we checked out together. But before we get into that, I know we've talked about it on the show. I don't know at what length. I know we quick looked a demo of this a while back, but a game called Cardboard Kings came out this year in 1.0, and I had this game queued up for a while, and I knew if I started playing it, it would consume me again because I was very much into what the demo was doing. So I've had it on the back burner for a bit, and I started playing it again, and I fucking love Cardboard Kings. This is a card shop simulator. It is from Henry's House. I think that this is kind of it for them, if maybe some other small stuff. But you inherit a card shop from your father who had been involved in a card game similar to what Magic would be, I think, called Warlock. And you're not battling in this. You're not doing any of that. This is literally you selling cards, rare cards, to people coming into your shop. And so the loop of the game is the store opens in the morning to you, but not to the public. You have a computer that has an eBay equivalent on it, and you have a mobile phone that you get to read the news, like a Twitter feed on what's currently happening, what's hot and trending in the world of Warlock.
What's happening in the scene, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like, hey, this influencer is really into this series in Warlock, so those cards are going to go up in price. And the whole thing is about
This influencer wore a card on a gold chain on his neck to a fucking WrestleMania match, so I guess it's skyrocketed in value. Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's like, well, everybody wants those cards. So I'm going to start looking online for these types of cards. They get delivered the next day to your shop, and then you can choose to place them. And the whole thing is that you're earning a reputation, and you don't want to be ripping people off too much, but you also need netting a profit. And there's a bunch of talking heads that come in that you build a relationship with, and there's some really cool story beats that happen with it. It's got an awesome style to it. It's very easy to pick up, very easy to lose yourself to. It is currently...
There's a dog named Piccolo.
Yeah, Piccolo's awesome.
What more can you want?
I mean...
Bobby, let me ask you this. I kind of remember the quick look. I remember the style and thinking it was cool. I remember working in the card shop. But the cards themselves, there's no way to play that card game, right?
There's not, but you need to be familiar with the different aspects of it. So there's different rarities levels of cards that you'll need to know, and like the different things of like, this is a brain card versus a lip card or whatever, you know.
From what you've seen, is the card game inside the game functional? Like if somebody went out and actually made physical wizard cards, could they play a game with it? Or is it abstracted enough where it's just, hey, there are these things you need to know for the mechanics of Cardboard Kings, the video game that you're playing, that you don't need to know the particular mechanics of the in-game card game?
On one hand, I would say that you could probably like create some headcanon, and maybe it opens up later on. Like, I know that there's an event getting ready to take place at my shop where there's a new series launching, so people are going to come bid on the cards and probably play a bit of it. They don't really go into that too much, but they do have you collecting sets. So there's damaged cards, there's like shiny cards, there's pristine cards, etc. And you have a binder that you can, there's a whole thing that you're trying to do, like a game within the game of creating your sets. And so I know that there's enough cards that you could probably run through the game if you understood the game mechanics. I haven't had that happen yet. I know just recently they added in 3 new sets. I mean, there's hundreds of cards in this game with individual artwork on all of it. It's like, it's all there. It's really well done. Maybe there is a way to play that. I don't know.
Interesting. I know I said this on the quick look, and it's just never going to happen. But man, if you could get the Pokemon card game, if Nintendo, if Game Freak and the Pokemon Company, like if you just had the ability, hey, let's make the game that we can talk about. It's the same thing. I just want the same thing, just with the Pokemon skin over it. I want the fake Twitter in the game to talk about the holographic first edition Charizard, and then I just want that. That'd be fun. That'd be so much fun.
I agree. I think that this format could be used for a lot of things. What I will say, and to wrap up my talk here on Cardboard Kings, is I find this an incredibly wonderful palette cleanser. I think it's an easy game to pick up and put down. You can run through a few day cycles of just running shop, buying cards, chit-chatting. I think the postie, as they call him, the postman, is like one of my favorite characters this year. He's just this dude that's been like trying to buy a house. Like every time he comes in, you can just like give me my mail, or you can actually like try and talk to him. And he's like, yeah, my wife, like it's like one day he's like, hey, guess what? They accepted our offer. We got the house, and like you got this really fun like daily thing happening with him, which I think is really cool. You also have a parrot or a bird or a crow or something that talks to you, which is fun.
Cool. It's one of those things with wings.
Yeah, so, tiny dinosaur. It's a cool game.
So Bobby, this thing's out?
It's out. It came out this year.
Okay.
It launched on February 10th. $20 on Steam. You can get the entirety with the deluxe edition. Has a soundtrack, 15% off for that if you want. It's a good soundtrack too. I really dig it. I think it's a lot of fun. Probably.
When you say Steam, PC only?
It is PC only, but I have not seen if it is deck verified yet or not. I don't see why it wouldn't be, but quite frankly, this would be a lot of fun to play on a handheld.
I mean, there is a lot of text in that game. I imagine it could be hard to read on a smaller Steam Deck screen, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, something you could dock your Steam Deck and then have it as a computer that way.
Totally.
Which I'm planning on probably using my deck a lot like that. So
Absolutely. So that's Cardboard Kings out now. Definitely check it out. Very cool game. Chase, you and I are more than friends. Some might say that
I've always said that.
lovers in a dangerous space time. A game
Okay.
that came out some time ago that Johnny allegedly played and talked about on this very podcast.
I think
he was just lying.
I know I played it. It was a game with gold.
You played it alone?
Yeah.
It was a game with gold?
I think so. Like several years ago.
Anyway, recently Chase and I have taken to this dangerous space time for our Casual Monday stream as we were looking for a co-op game, and I had heard a few folks talk about this game while reviewing Far Changing Tide and how there were some similar concepts at play. I was like, you know what? I like those games. I like the Far games quite a bit. Let me take a look at this. Hey, that looks slick. And then I'd even mentioned to Chase, maybe we could try parsecing this, which we had not done yet when it came to like our setup and all the shit that we've been doing. So we're kind of at an impasse waiting on hardware, Steam Deck for Chase, playdates, whatever it would be for Casual Monday stuff. We said, let's give it a shot. And we tested it one night after either a quick look or an episode or something. And we were just, I felt like we both were like, this is really cool. And we stuck to it. And so much so that we're going to be playing this probably in a series on our streams. But Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time is fucking awesome. It came out 2015, September 9th. So our podcast didn't even exist when this game came out.
Yeah.
It
was just that game and Digimon Story Cyber Sleuths were the only two games in town.
That was it.
Hey, it's all 2015 had to offer.
So Asteroid Base puts this out. This is up to a 4-player couch cooperative game. You are piloting a spherical ship that has a bunch of different buttons and levers that you need to be pulling. You are looking for bunny rabbits that have been caged up. And as you free them, they use the power of love to open up portals that you can take your ship to the next level through.
Does the Huey Lewis song "Power of Love" begin to play?
Absolutely.
In your heart, it does.
This game's fucking cool. It's got a hell of a look to it. There is a very soothing aspect of like managing all these systems, and one person has to fly this thing, one person has to move the shield. At times you both have to stop and shoot shit. There's some really cool upgrades that you can do that really change the defensive and offensive nature of your ship. And we're having a hell of a go with it. It's something that we can't wait to play. I think friend of the show, Jiggy-san's going to join up. Maybe we'll get Johnny in there one night. I do think having 4 people would just be an absolute blast for this game. What I feel is really good here, Overcooked is a couch co-op game that people really enjoy, but this doesn't seem to have that, negative chaotic energy in it.
Yeah, I think there's less opportunity for sabotage. Yes. I mean, the worst thing you could do is take one of the power gems that upgrades one of the systems on the ship and put it in something that's maybe less than optimal, but even then, it's always helpful. So it might just be not helping as much as another thing could. But it's not, hey, I purposefully burned these hamburgers and then threw them on the ground.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll link to the chat here, but you can go and check out some of our prior streams that we've done. You can find that right here on Twitch, but also over on YouTube if you want to check out that. And we're going to have an ongoing series that happens Mondays at 10:30 p.m. Central, right here on twitch.tv/casual hour. So Chase, anything you want to add in on Lovers before we move on?
I think it's a pretty cool thing. Like I like the way that there are so many systems on the ship. There's 4 different turrets. There's 4 different main turrets. There's a big fuck off laser. There's a shield. There's the driving. There's a map, and sometimes there's even and we're still really early in it, so maybe they even add more mechanics. In fact, we know there are more ships. There are more ship designs that we haven't unlocked yet, but we had a mission where there was also like a secondary engine that you could move around and that you'd have to try to protect from enemies. So there's just a lot of systems in there. And Bobby and I are two people. We're controlling two characters,
Yes.
and we're trying to make all of those things work in tandem. And it is very much keeping all the plates spinning, and that's been a lot of fun. I do think it would be really fun with 4 people just to have more of those plates spinning and seeing what kind of things what kind of trouble you could get into. But even with the 2, I found it really fun I took more of the navigator role, so I was doing a lot more of the driving on the ship. And so Bobby's kind of running around like a chicken with his head cut off as he gets onto different turrets that are on different sides of the ship. And then I would have to determine whether we were at a spot where, oh god, there's too many enemies, so they're coming from both sides. I need to jump off the navigation and jump onto one of these turrets, or let's jump onto the shield and put that in a specific spot because that might be advantageous to the potential of a battle that's coming up. That stuff I just think is really smartly done, and it's one of the better co-op games like this that I've played. Like it's more fun to me than the Overcooked like we talked about, but it's also more fun than something like Space Team. You guys remember Space Team? That was kind of a neat thing.
Yeah.
But Space Team, it's like an app on your phone. Everybody had it, and you were basically doing like the Star Trek Enterprise stuff where everybody had a specific role on the ship, but things would be called out on your phone that wouldn't be on other people's phones. So you'd have to tell them the instructions of what they need to do, and things were timed, so you had to kind of keep the systems of your ship going that way, and that was cool too. But I like the very focused nature of Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, and I think it does a lot of things really well.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the game and having a blast. We were gonna do a one-off stream, and if this says anything, we were just like, let's make this kind of a series. So I think for the next couple Mondays, we might take a break here and there, but for the most part, we're gonna be playing quite a bit of this game. I don't know how long it is, but we're having a blast.
Yeah, and unless this thing gets ultra hard and we keep bombing out on something, or we don't get friends to come and join us for something, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't just keep bumping around every once in a while on this thing until we finish it.
Absolutely. Cool. And the last game I've been playing, which I'm having a really great time with, is a game called Battletech. So this I believe was a board game.
Another turn-based mech game from Bobby.
Yeah.
God, that old chestnut. Jesus.
Yeah,
so tired of these games.
Sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to be my best Chase Kennedy. So I didn't know that this was a tabletop game at some point in time, or it was before it is currently. But I had saw on Steam that there was a pretty deep sale for this, and the game was marked down, but then the season pass, which there's been 3 pretty big expansions. This game came out in 2018. That has been out for it, and those season passes are story rich, but also adds in new mechs and different types of stuff there as well. But it's XCOM with mechs, like to like grossly play it down. But there's a really compelling story to it where you can actually create a story for your character, a background that will impact some of the decisions you make. So there are multiple choice answers to some questions. It's not quite like a BioWare game in that sense, but there is what I'm seeing is a really well done science fiction story that you are a part of a mercenary team going out, taking up some jobs. When you start the game off, you're severely in debt. That gets taken care of pretty quick, but you are doing jobs, and the way that they do these jobs, you are negotiating. So there's 2 levers to pull. One would be for the projected outcome of a financial. So like, I want to make this much money, or you can get a bid on salvaging at the end of each fight. So versus one slot where you get to absolutely pick one piece of salvage that you are guaranteed to get. Maybe you want to have 3 things that you're going to ask for. And that would come into play on crafting a mech. so you can get enough parts in a series of a mech and just build a brand new mech from scratch. Or maybe you need to get higher tiered versions of the weapons you want to slot onto your mech. So the combat does feel very much like XCOM, and you have a lot of dense elements at play. There's a lot of things that can be very overwhelming at the start, but you are up to a squad of, I believe, 4 people per drop. And there are varying degrees of mechs that you can use, from scouts all the way up to like heavy artillery. And the environment does play a lot into your impact with this. So there's a heating element to your mech that can overheat. There's also the ability to knock down mechs without killing them. And so there's a health bar that consists of your core health and then your armored health. And if you are busting off a piece of the mech and you've opened up the armor and you can start to pinpoint that, you can execute the pilot and completely dismantle that mech very quickly. You can also have a mech that maybe is in a forest taking 20% less damage, but still getting their footing fucked up when you hit them, and then you can knock them down, run up and stomp them. So there's some really cool strategy that you can start to play, some really great synergies that can happen here. What I have been really enjoying is the shit that happens in between. I like the combat a lot, but more so than the 2 versions of XCOM that I've played, which is just XCOM and Chimera Squad. Navigating the customization of the mech is very fascinating and really fucking cool, because you can completely dismantle these mechs in between fights and slot in new things. And so when you pull a mech up, you're going to have an overview of like each leg, the torso, and then the arms. And above that, it's going to say like, hey, you can have up to 2 lasers on this arm with 1 machine gun. And it's letting you know what you can slot onto it, but there's also a weight limit per mech. So things that you can put on there are like heat sinks. You can put on jump packs. So if you wanted to have more mobility and you wanted to keep your mech from getting heated up, maybe you can't put all the shit on there. So like I've got one mech. He's just a fucking brick shit house. Like he's got every weapon on him, and
Is that his name?
Yes.
Okay.
You can create people. There are story characters that you can't change that are part of your team, but you can go. There's a recruitment hall, and that has like each character has their own skill trees. So you're dumping points into things like tactics, piloting, gunnery, all that shit. So it's not just like, hey, you survive this mission, you get promoted. You're absolutely going in and fine tuning each one of your characters. So maybe I want somebody who's really good at tactics, or somebody who's good at piloting. Like I'm putting my pilots in my smaller, very teeny tiny scout mechs, and I just have them ripping and roaring all over there, identifying enemies and all that shit. It was very intimidating when I first started to play it, but I'm finding out the loop to be very satisfying. I understand like what I should be doing and how I should balance things out. It's on PC, it's on Mac. I think this is Steam Deck verified as well, and I think it would be a lot of fun to play on that platform.
I imagine they've fixed it at this point, but I'll say that I had Battletech and it didn't work initially when I had my M1 chip laptop.
Got it.
I think they've fixed that by now, but that is something to consider. Bobby, like I've heard people talk about Battletech. It sounds like my shit, but also it sounds just really dense. And from the stuff that you're saying, it also still sounds very dense. And you did mention being intimidated and maybe a little overwhelmed when you first started. How does this compare to to something like Into the Breach? Into the Breach is a roguelike. You're meant to kind of mess up and then start again, and that's fine. I guess the better comparison. What's the other game we played?
Phantom Brigade.
The one, yes, that one. Like, how does it compare to something like that? Now, that game I think is still in early access, so maybe that's a little bit of an unfair comparison. But in terms of density and mechanics, and I think the thing I really want to know more is how much wiggle room do you have to learn and fail versus like when we played XCOM, that game kicks you in the nuts and then says, "Well, you weren't optimal, and now you're definitely not optimal." So you're it kind of just snowballs into a murder machine for you. Do you feel like you have enough time to kind of get your sea legs and to build something? And if you do run into something tough, do you feel like you're stuck, or do you feel like the game gives you enough options to kind of rebuild yourself when things go wrong?
Great questions. So if there's absolute story missions that pay a lot and kind of clear out your debt. The second one of those I felt was more or less like, we're going to test your metal a bit here. And they do it in a way so that the stakes are pretty high. Like you can lose any of your characters, including the one that you created for you and story characters. It's pretty generous on its save state before battle. So like you can restart a mission very easily. So if I do just fuck up and have somebody get killed that like I didn't want to lose, like I can just start over that mission. So I appreciate that. This last mission I was on was really interesting. So you had to break into a prison, which was fun. And there was 2 points of entry that you had to like bust a wall down, or if you had a mech outfitted with a jump pack, you could just jump over the wall and get into there and start that, which is, again, people will play that very differently. There's 2 points of entry that you could bust, or you could jump over any of the walls. Around all of it were these massive fucking turrets, huge up high turrets, low on the ground turrets, and there was a bunch of ground units that were like tanks and shit coming at you. Also, quick side note, the scale is really fun. Like your mech just towers over tanks and shit. It looks really fucking cool. Your mech standing above the tree line. It's really fucking neat. But anytime that you see turrets somewhere on the map, there's going to be a generator. If you take out the generator, it destroys the turrets. And so this place had so many that there was a cluster of 4 generators, but it was nestled way behind enemy lines. And so I decided that if I went this path to like go into the prison a certain way, I could either shoot down the door and get in or jump over it. But I wanted to take the turrets out and then just use the sprint option. So there's a sprint, which is not unfamiliar to anybody playing these types of games. You can move and then have an attack, or you can sprint and forego your attack and just get where you're going.
Yeah.
And my plan was take out the generators and then sprint everybody up to the hole that my big ass mech would open up to go in and do a big prison fight. And my mechs, like the first run I did it, I had my scout get pinpoint, like this pinned down. I lost one of my favorite characters who was in that mech named Glitch. She got fucking toasted. So I restarted it, but the stakes are there. Like you can lose it. I learned a little bit more as I'm doing that. Like, hey, if I moved everybody together and I trenched them in this tree line, they're taking 40% less damage. So I can withstand a lot of this turret while I'm starting to do things. The other piece of it is like certain mechs will have sensory locks. It also uses as an evasion system. So if I'm using that, it's lowering the evasion skills of these tanks coming up to me, and I can start to just like pick them off. So I basically put 2 mechs in the tree lines that had 40% less damage, that were creating points of interest for the enemies, while I snuck around and disassembled this big fucking cluster of generators and blew a hole in the wall of the prison. And it was really fucking cool. I approached it that way. There's probably a dozen ways that people could have went, maybe more, to approach that same scenario. So
it allows for
lots of experimentation. But also like
that's cool.
What I'm trying to answer here, Chase, is that because of the restart on it, I could fuck up enough to be like, okay, don't do that. Learn from this mistake. Understand your surroundings. Because even certain terrain, like I thought it'd have a better vantage point. Well, I didn't realize it. It made me 40% more likely to get knocked over if I took damage there. And so like even learning that shit was like, it does a pretty good job of onboarding you. But for the most part, it's a great game to feel out. There's a lot, and it's just very overwhelming when you look at like, I have this big mech in a bay. I just stripped everything off of it. So I have a frame. Like, how do I build a mech? But then you start to see like, well, it needs a machine gun. Okay, it needs to have cluster missiles. And they look fucking cool. They look really fucking cool. And there's factions,
Yeah.
so like each faction does their mechs up differently. It's really fucking neat. It's really fucking neat.
Nice. It's been something on my to play list for a long time. I own it. I haven't had something to play it on for a while. Hopefully the Steam Deck would be a good place to make that happen. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you're liking it, and that's maybe something maybe that's something we take a break on a casual Monday, and have me watch you.
It would be
play
a
little bit
slow
of that.
Monday, but it'd be a fun Monday.
I bet it would. Yeah, but it's okay sometimes.
I don't know why I would talk about strategy games. It's not like anybody else has been playing, massive strategy games where you have to be in charge of, factions and moving people around. And
Yeah, what's that about?
who would do something like that?
I would. Yeah. So you guys know how much I love Dune. Dune is one of my favorite science fiction books. I really enjoyed the movie that came out this last year.
When you say books, do you mean the book, or do you mean all of the books?
I have read Dune, and I have started Dune Messiah. But Dune
is that the second Dune?
It is.
Okay.
It gets complicated because Frank Herbert wrote 6, and then his son picked up, and then apparently those aren't as good.
That's what I hear.
But also, when Dune Messiah came out, people didn't really like it at the time because anyway, we don't have to get into it.
I would love to get into it because I have another friend who talks a lot about Dune, so I know way too much about Dune.
Oh, okay.
Despite knowing jack shit about Dune. But
it's an incredible
for other listeners.
It's an incredible sci-fi universe. It's so influential, and so much of the sci-fi that we have today owes itself to Dune coming out in 1965. And there in the 90s and I think early 2000s there were some Dune strategy games that people really liked. And last year, right? Like, was it last summer or in the fall, sometime like that?
When Dune came out?
No,
when they announced this game.
When Dune Spice Wars was announced. I think it was around the time the movie was coming out. But it's a studio called Shiro Games, who've made Northgard and Evoland.
I've heard Northgard's good. I've played Evoland. Evoland's really cool.
Yeah, I this is my first experience with this studio.
Northgard looks awesome, by the way. If you like this type of game, Northgard's really fucking cool.
I do. I love these kind of games. I love Civ. I love Crusader Kings. I played a little bit of Total War Warhammer 3 and Warhammer 2. So I enjoy a strategy game. And if you're adding in one of my favorite science fiction universes to the mix, what's not to love, right?
Is this a traditional 4X style game, or is it a different thing?
Okay. Yeah.
Do you remember what are the 4Xs, Johnny?
Oh, God.
It's a quiz.
There's dodge, dip. No,
yeah.
that's wrong.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't remember, Chase. I don't know.
All right, let me pull it up. One's explore, expand. Wish I remembered.
I can look it up too.
Explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. That makes sense.
Right. Okay. All right. And you were doing all of those things in this game. So you can play as one of 4 factions. You can be the Atreides, the Harkonnens, smugglers, or the Fremen. Each one of those factions.
Who are the smugglers? I don't remember them in the Dune movie.
They're like pirates, basically.
Okay.
But
the random 4th Dune faction. Everybody remembers them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they mentioned smugglers at some point.
Han Solo, he was there.
Yeah, exactly. Han's there, Chewie's there.
Yeah, give me your spice.
And each one of those factions, as you'd have in a Civ or something like that, they have a leader, and depending on the faction that you pick, they might be more well suited to achieving a certain type of victory. And there are I had to look this up because I couldn't remember. So there's domination victory, political victory, and hegemony victory. Domination, that's exactly what it sounds like. You are using your military and taking over places. And there's a political victory where you become like the de facto leader of Arrakis or Dune. And there's a hegemony victory. The hegemony is, am I saying that word right?
You're the expert.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So that's like the currency that you earn by doing certain actions.
Okay, so a financial, a political, or a military. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and
does it all take place on Arrakis, or does it?
Okay. Yeah. So you start with a settlement for your faction. I went with the Fremen because they. I would.
Very Johnny move.
They're the natives to the planet, so their spice collectors aren't affected by worms whenever the worms are active in the area where the spice is. They have they can get around the desert a lot more easily than the other factions can. Just kind of like in the book. The Fremen know their way around. They're the natives to this planet.
Sure.
But
they're also probably the least militarily equipped compared to the other.
They are actually nasty, man. They are.
Really? Sure, yeah. They got to use like guerrilla tactics. They're not coming out with big tanks or anything.
Right, but they are, them and the Harkonnens are the two most well suited to domination victories.
Oh, okay.
So I played a little bit as the Harkonnens, and I was like, I don't know if I like this, and then I switched to the Fremen, and I was having.
Am I the bad guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Am I the bad guy?
Sometimes I do. If I just want to completely dominate my enemies, but I felt a little bit better about being the natives of the planet, trying to do a domination victory. And
Johnny was also playing the Fremen when we played Mario Kart. Then he was certainly not dominating that.
Yes, right. That sounds right.
Exactly. So yeah, the game starts, and you can tell this is an early access game.
Yeah, I was going to have you talk about that because I remember you seemed a little down on this when I talked.
I don't know if down is the right word. It's just like, so it runs well, it performs well on my computer. I didn't have any like hitching or anything like that really happening. And there are common types of systems that are persistent across these types of games, with each one doing its own unique twist on it, right?
And you have like a tech tree in this game?
You do, yeah. And you have little notifications that pop up, but it's just subtle enough that like time was passing and I was doing other things and I didn't notice that, oh, hey, I can add something else to my tech tree, or I can send one of my advisors to infiltrate this other group or whatever I want to have them do. So I feel like communicating that, like as those things become available, would be more helpful. But like my expectations, I'm trying to temper them because I know like this is a work in progress. This is a smaller studio, and it felt like the tutorialization, like, because there is some of that there, like it's explaining, this is what this means, and then you got to do this before you can do that, sort of thing. Because like you might find a place that has spice next to it, but you need to have a certain thing unlocked in your tech tree before you can build the spice harvester.
Does it feel like a Dune game, or does it feel like a 4X game that has a Dune skin over it?
No, it feels like Dune. Like,
okay, that's good.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe from it for sure. What were you gonna say, Bobby?
If you're running into maybe the game's just still being cooked, which I totally get. I've played a lot of games in early access that I feel that way about. Might I make a suggestion that you refund this game, pick it up at a later date, and you just use that money to pick up Northgard? Because I think Northgard would absolutely do what you want it to do.
What if you sold the game you like and bought the game I like instead?
I'm just saying.
So here's my plan.
I know that's not what you're saying, but
I'm gonna buy the. I knew I was gonna buy this game eventually, no matter what. So I thought, okay, I'll either play through a full campaign, which I've only got. I only was able to put a little over an hour into this so far, and each round takes 2 to 3 hours, according to the developers. So I was like, okay, wow. I'll probably play through once, and then just let it sit, like what I did with Baldur's Gate. Like I played Baldur's Gate for long enough to determine that I'm gonna like this game.
It's just not ready.
And then I uninstalled it because it just wasn't ready. So, I think
that was an expensive early access game.
It was $60. This is $30.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does feel incomplete, but
it's early access.
Yeah, like I'm not. It's not hard crashing or doing weird shit like that. It's just I can tell this is a game in active development, and maybe I would enjoy it more when it's the final finished product rather than what they've given to us now.
Well, have you been active in whatever Discord-y stuff I'm sure they've got to give them their feedback about what the game is?
No, I was going to play some more of the game, get a more well-informed opinion about it. Maybe, because all of these things also, too, it's just repetition. It's playing through it multiple times and...
Yeah, it's getting the economy to work just right. It's
exactly.
finding balance for things.
So I think overall it makes a positive impression. I think that you can tell that these are people that love Dune and the Dune universe, and they're not just trying to make a quick buck by, like, hey, we got the Dune license, let's churn this out as quick as we can, and kind of like a, I don't know, pump and dump's the right word, but right phrase, but.
But you said you liked the vibes of it, right?
Yeah. I feel like I'm on Arrakis. There's little settlements, and then I can see the worms. Like I stupidly had some.
You gotta be careful, because if the vibes are too strong, the worms are going to come in.
Exactly. So the Fremen, a unique thing that they have is they can actually put a thumper down to call a worm.
I'm familiar with the thumper.
Yeah, it's cool. There's some cool stuff.
Isn't there a Fatboy Slim song? It's the music video that has Christopher Walken dancing in it.
Weapon of Choice.
Yep.
That's about Dune.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes. Look up the lyrics.
Yeah.
Dance without rhythm and you won't attract the worm is what he says in that.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go. That's a pretty clear.
Yeah. Pretty clear. Led Zeppelin, most of their songs were about Lord of the Rings, so
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. All the Beatles wrote about were drugs.
Yeah. Fucking
hippies.
Any other questions? I know I'm kind of scattershot here. It's just these games. There's a lot going on.
It came out on Tuesday, so this is early access as of April 25th.
Yeah, I downloaded this yesterday morning.
Okay, and obviously, all joking aside, they've put a lot of work into Northgard, which seems to be more in tow with this than what Evoland is. There's a sequel to Evoland. It's their shit has a polish to it. I think this game will get there, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And so you're saying still give them money, just maybe give them money for a thing that they've actually completed first.
Take your money back from them and then give it to them again.
Okay.
Yes.
I might just do that. I don't know. I want to play a little bit more of it.
Now, Bobby, can you answer me a question?
Sure.
When Weapon of Choice also has the lyrics, "Come forward and get your teeth smoked word." I don't remember that happening in Dune. Can you?
That's definitely a Dune.
That's Gert B. Frobe from Joe Dirt talking at that point in time. So it's actually a song about Joe Dirt and a song about Dune.
What if his name was Joe Spice?
Now we're talking.
That's something.
Yeah. So to button it up here, I might talk about this again next week if I play some a significant amount more of it. But if you like Dune, if you like 4X games, I think there's stuff here that you will enjoy. If you're someone who typically waits till things are actually finished, maybe don't buy it yet. Maybe wait. And I don't know what sort of window that they put out as far as like, hey, the game will be 1.0 at this point.
And if you like Christopher Walken, watch Severance.
That's a great. Oh, okay. I was going to say it was a great music.
Oh, I mean, Weapon of Choice. Yeah, sure. Watch Weapon of Choice too, but like that's shorter. But you should watch Severance.
Yeah,
it's good.
I hear good things about that.
Speaking of,
the guy who likes the game Control will like the show Severance.
I need to watch that. I love Control.
I don't even really care about Control, and I still enjoyed Severance. There you go.
Johnny, any other games you've been playing besides Dune?
Just, Horizon. I'm still chipping away at that. I made some more progress there. Oh, yeah, it's great. I love that game.
Get a Lamborghini yet?
No. And, some more stuff in my pocket, and maybe it's been a week since I played Elden Ring, probably, which is the longest I've been on without
kicked the habit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
But also, I watched a video today about Elden Ring that made me really want to play Elden Ring. So,
well, to be fair, I watch videos about Destiny daily, and I haven't really played Destiny for weeks.
Yeah,
so.
We'll see.
Like you're out, but you're not really out.
I'm not.
I know that feeling. Quite well.
Yeah.
Very
cool. I think we're ready for the news.
I think it is time for the casual report.
There's a lot of stories here. We don't have to cover all of them. I will say the last thing that I put in here, I think that we need to end the show with, because I think it's just a fun.
Well, what are we starting the show with?
So that new Sonic movie came out.
Yeah, let's start from the origins.
And I think Sega probably like, we don't have a new Sonic game to put out. Why don't we bundle a bunch of old Sonic games together and make it as confusing as possible
God damn
for the consumer? So they put out this chart the other day that explained
it's really not that bad. The chart is stupid. Sonic Origins is Sonic 1, 2, 3,
Knuckles
and CD. Like that's it. And no matter what version of the game you buy, it comes with all those games. Like
but then they have stuff, random shit like an animated menu.
Sure, but it's not like here's Sonic Origins, but it only comes with Sonic 2, and then you've got to pay so much more to get the deluxe version that comes with CD. Like the games are all in there. It's just a bunch of extra cosmetic-y bullshit, which I'll probably end up getting because I'm such a fucking sucker for Sonic. But I don't know. Like the games are the games. Also, emulate the fucking games. Just emulate the games.
But did you see?
They've been out there forever.
I guess there's a lot here to unpack, and most recently they added into that much like Rockstar, they're pulling all their standalone Sonic games ahead of the Origins version, and I don't think that this is going to run into the technical issues that the Grand Theft Auto games did, but that the bummer there was if you wanted to play those, you had to buy the broken version, where the ones before it were fine, and they were the non-mobile ports. I just think that it's the whole grid that they sent out is really fucking confusing.
There's two versions of this chart is stupid, but there are two versions of the game. There's a standard edition that is just the games, and there's a digital deluxe version that has a bunch of extra bullshit on it. And then in addition to those things, there's some free DLC that comes out when the game comes out.
Well, we found the Sonic apologist here.
Well, fair. I don't think this is. It's not like they're selling 5 different editions of the game, despite what this dumb chart makes it look like.
It's just frustrating when companies like Sega make it as confusing as fucking possible for people to determine what version of this game do I need to buy, and then also locking idiotic things like animated menu or like a larger soundtrack or whatever coins are. Sonic doesn't even use coins; he uses rings. What are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing, Sega?
He does use rings. That is pretty dumb.
Speaking of better. Yeah, so I don't know. It's another example of corporations corporating and
these are the best Sonic games, though.
That's true. That is true.
Like, outside of Sonic Mania, like these are basically all the good Sonic games. You could make an argument for maybe Adventure 2, but this is pretty much it. These are the ones you'd want.
This is it. This is the list. Are you gonna get this, Chase?
I mean,
it's gonna go in his one folder on his Switch.
I have all of these games already in so many different formats. I don't need this.
But you need it.
Right.
I don't know. I'll probably end up getting it. Sure, why not?
Right.
Yeah. So that's
my argument is that Knuckles is awesome, but he's pointless to use in Sonic 2 because even though you'll get some cool one-up opportunities that you'd never get if you were just playing as Sonic or Tails, when you get to one of the boss fights against Eggman, Knuckles can't jump high enough, so it's bad. Knuckles is perfect in Sonic 2 for so long, and then you get to that one boss fight where he can't jump high enough to get over the boss, and then, well, this is dumb. This is pointless.
That seems kind of dumb.
That's my hot take.
All right. So Halo Infinite Season 2 is coming out pretty soon. May 6th, I believe. And they're adding King of the Hill and Land Grab as another mode.
Also, they should put Mean Bean Machine in this collection. What the fuck are you doing?
That's
the
only Sonic game you need.
That is the best Sonic game.
And it's not even a Sonic game.
It's a Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine game. That's what it is. Category.
And the new Sonic movie, Dr. Robotnik's sidekick owns a coffee shop called The Mean Bean. And I thought that was kind of good. I thought that was pretty good.
That's pretty good.
So Halo is adding what sounds...
Oh, we're talking about the Halo TV show?
Yeah. No, we're not.
Okay, cool.
Never again. Where the hell is it in this article? What's it called?
It's a battle royale called Last
Spartan Standing. Yeah. So, but it's not 100v. It's not 100 Spartans. It's
how many is it?
12 or something like that. So it's not really a battle royale, but it is elimination based. You have 5 lives. Once you're out, you're out. You start with the lower tier weapon, but if you score a kill,
5
you can
lives.
Yeah.
So this is like almost like gun game a little bit too.
It's Super Smash Brothers. That's what it is.
Yeah, you start with a lower tier weapon, but if you score a kill, you can level up to a higher tier one, discouraging folks from simply hiding out in a corner. There's also a constricting danger zone that helps with that, and random weapon drops occur throughout rounds. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of...
So they fixed Halo Infinite is what I'm hearing?
No.
Is Halo Infinite fixed now?
No.
So let me tell you about that. As they announced this season, which had been pushed back multiple times, they confirmed...
No, it hasn't. It's always been coming out in May.
This game was delayed a year. The campaign co-op was supposed to be coming out alongside this. That's now been
But they've said
back.
they're doing this for the well-being of their team, so I can't really fault them for that.
Yeah, let's pull that veil out.
I'm sorry. Do you think that they should crunch themselves to death so they get the co-op and Forge mode out on time?
I mean, this is the first that they've mentioned the well-being of their team in the 2 years that they've had to push this game back.
I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
I wish they would have made a better game, though.
Correct. What I'm getting at is the co-op campaign is still not being delivered, but we get this fucking ham-fisted take on a battle royale.
It does feel a little weird to have a thing that we've never heard before get announced and have a date before the thing that they have.
This has been rumored forever. Like they're
rumored, but
every Halo game's had
co-op
campaign.
is not a
And
rumor. Co-op campaign
replayable
is something we know is going to
campaigns.
come, but it's just still not here. That is a little bit weird.
And so they're pushing that shit back by months. They also have now said that the season 2 is going to go for what? 6 months, 3 months, something like that.
Long time, yeah.
Another
And again,
long time.
because they don't want to kill their team. So
I get that.
I'm telling you, you guys should just watch the Halo TV show, and then you'll never care about Halo again, and everything's fine.
Here's my
you won't care that the game's being delayed because you don't want to play anything that has to do with Halo ever again.
Here's what I'll say. All right, and then we'll put it to bed.
Oh, you've said enough.
You're going to tell me that 343 is going to get out in front of all of us, the same fucking people that has watched Microsoft throw war chest of money at Activision to get them out of their bullshit and all that other stuff, and they can't pay or hire more people to make this game the way that they want it to be. You can't compete in that area and continually put your battle passes and all this shit out there and have it go for this duration and be relevant. People are going to top that out.
Yeah, dude, the daily player count is slipped a lot since the game came out.
So what I'm getting at is I don't want people to fucking break their backs here. I don't want that. I don't want crunch. Microsoft has the money to put Halo is the mascot of fucking Microsoft.
Bobby, you know that throwing more people at a problem doesn't necessarily solve it. You could add 30 more guest hosts to the casual hour, and we'd still have Johnny on here. So we still would have the same problem.
And they already have a whole external studio that helps them with all their multiplayer stuff.
Then I would maybe reevaluate a few things.
I don't think necessarily
Bungie.
Yeah, I don't think that the number of people working on this game is necessarily the issue. It sounds like from some of the reporting that's come out, like it's a deeper seated, like things have just been kind of like if you look at Halo 4 and Halo 5, you know, it's kind of amazing that the game turned out gameplay wise as well as it did last year.
Look, I don't care at the end of the day. Like if this was a season that was going to be well polished and shorter, like I still wouldn't fucking complete it. It's not my fucking rock to push here. It's just funny to me that Halo, which more or less built the Xbox, is not getting more support.
It's not as relevant as it hasn't been for a long time.
It doesn't matter to them as much anymore. Forza, I would say, is a more valuable property than Halo for them in many ways.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you have old like me.
For a while, Gears was more important than Halo in a certain time period. Maybe not anymore, but
I guess for me, when I hear a lot of major outlets, people I know, etc., Halo's back, it's game of the year, all that other shit. Maybe strike while the iron's a bit hot and try and deliver on some of these things that you've said you were going to deliver on.
We got a television show. What's hotter than that?
I don't know. He's naked in it.
I would imagine the people who want to have that stuff in there the most are the ones who are working on the game. And there has to be some complexity that's causing them to not be able to deliver that. I think that they are hyper aware of how much that stuff is missing and how much people love those features. So I don't think bashing on the people that make the product is the right thing to do.
I'm not bashing on the people. I'm bashing on the people that own the people.
Sure. So, you know, Microsoft is the one that assembled the studio, and
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So, like, it's just it's sad.
It is sad. It just feels like a lot of excuses is all. And the one that I get behind is take care of your people. But that's also bigger than 343 for Microsoft. Yeah.
Also, video games are hard. It's nigh on impossible to make a video game.
This is the fourth Halo game that 343 has attempted to make. And yeah, I guess you could say more since Master Chief Collection has multiple games in it, but
sure.
I don't think any of them have been very good. Like I just don't think. I think they've missed some of the magic that Bungie had when they made those games.
And that's what made me so excited about Infinite when it came out, is because it felt really good to play despite the things that were missing. Yeah. Let's see. Amy Henning. She worked at Naughty Dog for a long time. And she was working on 1313.
Yep.
Yep. And
Yeah,
then
that got
also
canceled.
the other one that she was doing, I thought that looked like it was on a variation of Tatooine, and like had that like really cool like camera coming in over the person. It was neat.
So she's worked on a couple of things that have gotten scrapped, but they just announced a brand new Star Wars game that she's going to be working on in collaboration with Lucasfilm Games. And did they announce a title for anything for this? But
No.
this is like very, very early. But it is a narrative-driven action adventure game featuring an original story in the Star Wars galaxy, and I think that is very exciting. I think
the last game that Amy Hennig has a credit on is Battlefield Hardline as a writer.
Damn.
From 2015.
That's fucked up.
Pretty sad. I mean, she also has a writer credit on Forspoken, which is coming out this year, so that's something. Cool. But yeah, like she hasn't been a game director since Jack 3 in 2004. So that's
damn.
Kind of. It's like she has a good track record of work. Like we know that she's worked on all the Uncharted stuff as creative director and writer parts on there. She's worked on Legacy of Kain. She's worked on Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City. Everybody knows that.
Yes.
Like she's nothing hit maker, but it is kind of crazy that she hasn't gotten to make her game for
forever.
What feels like ever.
Yeah,
it's kind of nuts.
Speaking of kind of nuts. Not really. That wasn't a great segue. Chase, we can take our analog pockets and chuck them out the window.
Thank God.
Because guess what?
You still have
GBA coming to Switch.
Oh, what?
Apparently.
What games?
You know, it says that the data miners tested Metroid Fusion. So there we go. Chase loves Metroid.
Jiggy-san will be excited, I guess.
There's a handful that they've pulled out, some that have been functioning. So you've got things like, according to the tweet here from Mondo Mega, you've got Astro Boy, this stands out, Drill Dozer,
really?
F-Zero.
Astro Boy and Mega Factor?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's a surprisingly good game.
You've got Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town, Kingdom Hearts.
Right. Mega Man Battle Network 5 and 2.
Mario Kart Super Circuit. Mario Tennis Power Tour.
Ooh, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories.
No.
Mr. Driller 2.
No.
Pokemon
Mario
Mystery
Luigi
Dungeon,
Superstar Saga?
Red Rescue Team. Pokemon Pinball, Ruby and Sapphire.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Super Mario Advance, Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Robot.
That game's already basically on. Okay.
You've got Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3. You've got Minish Cap.
You can emulate all these games.
That's true.
Hey, Chase, this is going to be on the Switch. You want everything on the Switch. You should be happy.
I do. Okay.
As a Switch purist, you should be happy.
Hey, there's a Game Boy Advance game. It's called Mother 3. Do you think that's going to show up on this service?
No.
No. I don't.
That's going to be on your pocket. No, I take that back. That's going to be on your play date. Somebody on itch will make that.
Yeah, you think somebody will make a play date version of that? That'd be fun.
It's cool. I mean, look, like this is probably going to be paywalled behind the new expansion plus that came out with the Animal Crossing DLC, the Sega,
Absolutely,
the 64.
They need to add more value to that.
They need to add more value to that.
It still feels like a ripoff.
Correct. So that's my thought. It'll live there.
All right. A few more things to go through here. Activision Blizzard lost 60 million active users in the past year.
That's a shame.
Which sounds like a whole lot, and it is. But they still had 372 million monthly active users as of March 31st. So that's a not insignificant amount. of people.
Yeah, I mean, they basically lost a whole casual hour audience.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and I assume, a lot of this has to do with everything that they've been in the news for, and
is that what you assume?
Mm-hmm. Also, Call of Duty Vanguard was not well received. I think WoW has been losing subscribers for a while.
They did announce like that new. Is it a full new expansion for WoW? I thought people got.
I don't know.
Up
There's
into
like
that
a whole new class, Dragon class, in that.
Oh wow! I know. Burning Crusade Classic is available. That's the version that I played when I played WoW back in 2006.
Expansion, right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Blood Elves.
Yep, I was a Blood Elf Paladin.
You would.
I would.
I don't even know what I meant by that.
I don't either. I was that was harsh.
Are Blood Elves Horde or Alliance?
Horde.
Okay. I thought Paladins couldn't be on the Horde. Did they change that for Burning Crusade?
Maybe I'm. I'm looking this up because I'm questioning myself. Yeah, they're in the Horde.
For the Horde?
They could be a Paladin. I think that was the thing, is like it was the first Horde group that could be a Paladin, maybe.
Okay.
But that's what I was.
I've played literally 5 minutes of World of Warcraft. I should not be saying anything like I know what I'm talking about.
I only played to like level 46 or 7.
I played as an undead rogue. I was at my friend's house, and I tried to, and I got my stun, and then I tried to run around the enemy to do the backstab, and the enemy unstunned, and my friend's like, "What are you doing?" Like, well, I was running around to do the backstab. He's like, "What are you talking about? Just run through him." It's like, this game doesn't have collision? It's like, no, of course, no, you have to run through him to do it. Like, that's stupid. And then I stopped playing the game, and I never played WoW again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the experience.
That was WoW the experience right there.
Oh, man. Yeah, so we'll see what happens if that deal goes through with Microsoft with them. You guys remember Valheim?
I do. I think about that game a lot.
So it sold over 10 million copies since it came out last year, which is awesome for a small little studio like that.
6 people made that game.
Yeah.
And I know that they just announced the caves, I think back in February, as the next biome. I think there's one other one coming, but they're aggressively working on that game. They're trying to make it happen.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm excited to see what they come up with next.
And they don't even have Microsoft money.
No, they don't. Speaking of things that Microsoft might spend their money on, word around the campfire is Ubisoft is maybe reportedly up for sale.
I've heard that. That they're maybe going to be stepping out.
Yeah. Talks are apparently early on, but it includes private equity firms like Blackstone Inc. and KKR & Co. And Ubisoft devs told Kotaku they believe the company will eventually be sold. So this is due, according to developers Kotaku spoke to, due to flagging stock price of Ubisoft over the last year or so. Additionally, Kotaku reports that Ubisoft has been auditing various parts of its business with several outside consultancy firms. And while this is standard practice for any business, Kotaku sources claim this is in preparation for an acquisition. So that would be interesting. It sounds like it's not necessarily going to go to a Microsoft or a Sony or someone like that, but be taken over by a private firm or multiple private firms.
Yeah, I guess on one hand that's a little weird after the Vivendi thing, but also that was a while ago at this point, and the landscape has changed. And if you talk to our good friend Jeff Grubb, he's talking about how every company's having conversations about potential acquisitions, and sometimes those things go through, and sometimes they don't. But Every company is kind of evaluating those options for themselves right now. So I guess I understand it.
I mean there's all that reporting, about the work environment and the culture, and it sounds like maybe like there was lots of like people being protected or moved around the company.
Microsoft does love buying companies that have issues.
Yeah, so
they're getting very good at it.
We'll see what happens there. And finally, I saw this article today, and I thought this would be a fun way to close out the podcast.
Sure.
So we all love Pokemon, and
Yes.
I think I don't know if you talked about it on the podcast before, but I feel like the topic of how dark some of the Pokedex entries can get
we've talked
has
about
come
it.
up. And
we might have to go back to like a really old episode.
Yeah,
like one that Ryzen was first. That got dark.
So GameStop wrote a whole article today, or GameSpot.
Wow.
And they compiled the list of some of the most disturbing Pokedex entries. So I just I don't know, how do you want me to read some off to you? Do we each want to pick one?
I mean, how about this? You've read this article. I haven't.
I have. Yeah.
I'm assuming, Bobby, you have not read this article?
Nope.
Bobby, why don't you and I give like a guess at a Pokemon that might be on this list and like a potential why, and then maybe Johnny can read one or two things to us.
Okay, cool. That sounds
good. I can start. I already talked to Johnny a little bit about this. I think this one's actually on the list. I'm not sure, but I remember Drifloon, especially because that got brought back up in a side story for Legends Arceus, where Drifloon is known for leading kids into the woods and then abducting them. I'm just playing with this little balloon Pokemon, and then it's like, yeah, come with me, and that kid ain't coming back. Like the side mission in Legends Arceus, there's like a kid that's missing from the village, and you go to the beach and the beach area, and he's there with this Drifloon, and he's like, yeah, I was playing with this thing, and then it won't let me go, and I can't go back to my dad, and it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah,
it doesn't end up going anywhere. You kind of just separate them, and then the Drifloon's like, okay, well, bye, and it kind of floats away.
Yeah.
But I remember that one being pretty dark.
So Drifloon is on this list.
Okay.
And the Pokedex entry reads, stories go that it grabs the hand of small children and drags them away to the afterlife.
Yeah, there you go.
It dislikes heavy children.
Well, all right.
Well, I would have been fine.
Fair enough. Bobby, is there a Pokemon you imagine is a little fucked up? Do you have an inkling of a fucked up Pokemon that might be on this list?
What is the candle Pokemon?
Litwick?
I think Litwick.
Lampent? Chandelure?
Chandelure might have something fucked up to it.
Okay. So, I mean, that's a solid guess. Any ghost Pokemon, I imagine, probably has some potential for fucked upness.
Not on this list.
Okay. I can read us a couple, Johnny. What do you got?
I love Beware. Beware is one of my favorite Pokemon.
Beware, that's a good one. Yep.
I think Beware's very good.
Isn't it that it like crushes people?
This Pokemon has the habit of hugging its companions. Many trainers have left this world after their spines were squashed by its hug. That's fucked up.
Oof.
Man,
imagine being the Beware. It's like you've been caught by this trainer. That's your friend. You hug him. He dies. What do you do? Like? Are you like a dog in that situation that just kind of like sits next to him or barks for help, or are you like a cat that like just decides to eat its face after a little while?
Ugh, I don't like that.
Yeah,
that's why Bobby has dogs.
Yes,
small dogs.
Small tiny dogs.
I'll read a couple more here.
What about the ice cream cone Pokemon?
It's not on this list.
Vanilla Ice.
Something fucked up.
Houndoom Houndoom, that one, yes. What can I remember about Houndoom? Houndoom, it's something about like it's got like a poison, so like even when it burns you, you're like still.
The flames it breathes when angry contain toxins.
There you
If
go.
they cause a burn, it will hurt forever.
God, it's fucked up.
So the one for Mimikyu reads like almost like creepypasta.
Well, I mean the Mimikyu thing, like that's barely even like that's just what the Pokemon is. The whole thing is like you don't know what the fuck is under this thing, and it just hides under the Pikachu blanket to like let things potentially love it, right?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead. What's the Mimikyu thing?
A gust of wind revealed what hides under this Pokemon's rag to a passing trainer who went home and died painfully that very night.
Oh, God.
All right. And then, okay, one more. I think this might be the most fucked up one. It's for Palisand. Palisand is known as the beach nightmare. It pulls its prey down into the sand by controlling the sand itself, and then it sucks out their souls. So it's basically like a beach Dementor.
It seems like extra steps. What do you need the body for if you're just going to take the soul anyway?
Well,
like what happened?
You need to trap it so it can't get away while you're sucking its soul out.
So this thing,
you're
filled
with terror.
Yeah.
And then,
this thing basically puts you into a grave, like sucks you 6 feet down, and then says, "Oh, by the way, I'm taking your soul now." So your body, like, hey, you know what? Saved a lot of money on a funeral right there.
Yeah.
In a way, that's a happy ending.
We're allowed to show them nude because they ain't got no soul.
I've got soul, but I'm not a soldier.
There it is.
Thank you.
There it is. Johnny, thank you so much for taking us through the news. That was a fun time. We've covered a lot of ground this evening on our show, and we're going to be wrapping up here. I want to say thank you to anybody who stopped by. First-time viewer, we appreciate it. We do a lot of fun stuff here for the Casual Hour. We're more than just pretty faces talking about video games. We actually play them for you live a few nights a week. As Chase and I talked about, Monday nights, Casual Mondays, we have been playing Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, which is a ton of fun. You can go and check out our previous stream of that. It's also up on YouTube. If you want to follow along with all that, you can do the links right there in chat. Maybe? No? Streamlabs isn't working? All right, we'll come back to it. Quick looks. Let's talk about that. We've got a few of those up on YouTube as well. SNK vs. Capcom Card Fighters Clash. Chase loves the Switch. I love it too. I love to hate it. That game from 1999 has made its way onto the Switch, and he showed me that a few months back, and we had a good time doing that quick look. That's up right now. You can go check that out. We also recorded episode 270, the one that you're either listening to or watching right now. That's out, ready for you to enjoy. Quick look tomorrow on Thursday, April 28th is going to be Buck Up and Drive, a really cool kind of outrun style game that one dev made. Put a lot of passion into. It's a fun, wild ride. And then Friday night, maybe the most cursed version of Casual Fridays yet. We're going to attempt to put all of our bodies onto the internet as we play through Switch Sports, the latest release.
We'll see how that goes. I wonder how netcode stuff's going to be. And then like just to make that work, I imagine we're going to have to change our setups a little bit. So I kind of want to be slightly tentative on that, but I would like to play Switch Sports if that is possible.
If that fails, we'll play Lovers, all three of us.
Sure. That's fine to me.
As a backup, right? Because we'll all be there. Or we can do Mario Kart. Who knows? We'll do something.
We can do anything. Yeah.
But we're going to attempt to play Switch Sports. That does go out this Friday, so that'll be the first day with it. We'll see what that's all about. Chase, you teased this earlier in the episode tonight that you and Johnny had finally done something. What exactly have you done?
We did. We finished our Nuzlocke run of Pokemon Shining Pearl. Had a good time with that. You know what? If you've listened all the way to this point, I don't mind telling you. We won. We did it.
Nice.
We lost a few Pokemon. We didn't understand why that melodic had a flame orb, but we do now, and that's fucked up. It's, you know what you did, Cynthia. You horrible person.
Yeah.
You. But we made it through. Had a great time. And that was a lot of fun. So that's you can watch the whole series, all 16 parts, on my YouTube channel, Chasey K Plays, and then I'll be figuring out something new to put on that channel here real soon.
Chase, you and I got some emails today.
We did. Some very exciting emails.
Maybe we'll do something with those here soon.
Yeah, I it's a date.
It's a date. It's a play date.
Yeah, I would love to have a play date with you. That'd be fun.
All right. Maybe we will. That is episode 270 of the Casual Hour. Thank you, everybody. As we mentioned, we'll be live again on Friday. And if you're listening to this, tune back in tonight at 10:30 p.m. Central right here on the Casual Hour, or twitch.tv/Casual Hour. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. Appreciate you two being here tonight. I'm glad that you eat cereal like normal human beings and not monsters. We'll talk to you all soon. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.